Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to English debate class. Glad to meet you again. Okay, today we are going to continue our discussions with the same topic as the previous meeting. In the previous meeting, we had case building on the propositions of policy. So today we are going to discuss about the case building in the propositions of fact. Okay. Now, the problem is how to prove the propositions of fact. We have to know what is fact in the first place. So fact is that something different from opinion. It is not opinion. So because it is not opinion, it is not based on the belief, okay, but it's based on the empiric things. It's based on the sensibles, something that can be observed, something that logics and can be proved in empiricals or in the reality. Okay, so in fact, the problem is how to prove that the fact is valid or not, or invalid. It is different from opinion. In the opinion, our task is to prove whether that opinion is good or bad. Okay? So next question. Is fact debatable? Yeah, is fact debatable? Or in other words, can we debate about fact? Okay. In the reality, there are facts that cannot be debatable. For example, the fact that the sun is rising up from the east and set in the west. Yeah, that's a fact that cannot be debatable. Next, for examples, that the water boiled in the 100 degrees Celsius. Yeah, that is a fact, and it cannot be debated. It is not debatable. Okay. However, there are facts that can be debatable. Okay. For example, is coronavirus deadly virus or not? Or is coronavirus natural phenomena or it is conspiracy? Okay. Or is earth round like a ball or flat like a conspiracy theories had? Okay, so that are the examples of debatable fact. So in the proposition of fact, we use the debatable fact. Okay, so we will debate about the fact that are widely in dispute. In dispute here means that not everybody agree about that, about something. Yeah. Okay. For example, like some. Maybe you, when you follow the news, some people believe that coronavirus is a natural phenomenon. It's a plague caused by the natural organisms, while other people believe no, it is not a natural phenomenon. It is already made. So it is not the accidents things, but it is already made. By a certain global elites or by a certain country for the certain purposes, for example, for the biological weapons, or it is for war, yeah, on economics, but using the virus as the weapons. Okay, now that is debatable fact. We will use debatable fact in these kinds of proposition. Okay, now as I said, our task in this kind of debate is to prove, yeah, whether the fact is valid or invalid. So for the positive positive themes, yeah, usually the positive themes will agree with the proposition, will say that the fact is valid, while the opposition will say no, it's invalid. Okay, and then after that, you have to prove that this preposition is valid or not by making a several independent lines of proof. So you have to give the proof, and the proof here has to be supported by the data, supported by the research. It is empiric thing. It is not only based on your belief. No, it should be validated by or supported by the data or by the research. Okay. Next, now the example of motion. Actually, I have given you some motions, some fact. But for example, here in today's era, di PSBB, pembatasan sosial berskala besar, ya. For example, the motion is that the PSBB system does not work, yeah, for handling the coronavirus outbreak. I'm sorry. Okay, this is an example of the motion. Or the motion is coronavirus is, this house believes that coronavirus is a natural phenomenon. Okay, or this house believes that coronavirus is not deathly virus. Okay. Next, now how to build the case, or the step in case building. The first step is you have to figure out how to prove the topic, how to figure out the topic here. So you have to propose the definition, yeah, definitions of the key term on the motion. Yeah, so you can answer that, oh, this motion is a fact. Okay. For example, the motion is PSBB does not work, so you have to make a definition of what is PSBB, what do you mean by doesn't work, etc. Okay. So the first step is to identify or to make a definition, so you can say that this motion is a fact. The second is, after that you have to have a brainstorm. You make a brainstorming on the arguments of the topic. So you can discuss with your teams, or at least every member of the team works individually, find the arguments, yeah. And then after that, after all of the team member try to have a brainstorm, finding the arguments, next step is you have to organize all of that argument from your member, and then choose the best arguments. Okay, choose the best arguments, at least 2 until 4 arguments, the strong arguments. Okay. What is a strong argument here? Strong argument here, the arguments that supported by evidence. Yeah, the arguments that supported by enough evidence, strong evidence too. Okay. So after that, yeah, after you got the arguments, of course you have to add up some evidence, yeah, to point to prove that your points of arguments are valid. Okay. Now we go to the examples. Now with the same motions, that the motion is this house believes that PSBB system does not work in handling the coronavirus outbreak. First step is defining the terms in the motions. So what is PSBB? Okay, for example, here I give you the definition. PSBB is a social limitation in form of limiting public access and public activity in order to prevent or lessen the chance of the COVID-19 outbreaks or COVID-19 infections. And then what does it mean by does not work? Okay, does not work here, for example, I define as something that cannot meet the objective or cannot meet the expectation. Okay, so you can say, oh, it's not not effective because it cannot reach the purpose or the aim or the objective of PSBB. That is the definition of does not work. Okay. Next, after defining the terms, you have to brainstorm about the argument. Because doesn't work here means cannot meet the objective or cannot meet the expectation. All you have to think is what are the expectation or what are the objective of PSBB here. So you can say that PSBB does not work because from the expectation or from the objective of PSBB is like this, like this, like this, while in the reality, different. So the gap between the objective, the ideals or the aims with the reality, the implementation are different. Okay, for example here, the expectation or the aim of PSBB is that people will stay at home, work at home, learn at home, etc. So there will be no crowd in the public places. When there are no crowd in the public places, the chance of infections in peoples will lessen or will lower. Okay. And then the second, the expectation or the objective of SBB here, that all people will, all people, especially the have-not or the unemployed, will be support or will get support financially, or they will get support, for example, of their basic needs, to survive. Because when people are not allowed to make a crowd, to have an activity in a public place, to work at home or study at home, of course some people will not get their income. For example, the people who sell in or we can say pedagang kaki lima, who cannot sell their goods again, or maybe people who are unemployed, because in PSBB so many factory or so many company, they quit, they fire their workers because the company cannot afford, cannot pay the salary, because the productions or the marketing or their goods are cannot the people didn't buy their products, etc. Okay, so all those kinds of people, the marginalized, the unemployed, the poor people who cannot go outside the home, they lose their income, they need the support. Okay, now PSBB here guarantee in giving the support financially, in giving the support in the basic needs, in order for them to survive. Next, PSBB expectation, for example, that all people will not go out of the city, especially the city like Jakarta, in Semarang, that what we call as a red zone cities. All the people in from those area will not go out of the city. So there will be no chance for the virus to spread widely in other places in Indonesia. when the virus cannot spread widely, nationally, of course, the casualties or the victims or the death people caused by the virus will be decreasing or will lessen. Okay, that is some expectation. Okay, now next you have to organize the arguments. Now the argument here has to reject, or at least you have to show that the expectation of PSBB cannot be met. Okay, for example, the argument here: the PSBB does not work because it does not keep people home quarantined. So the PSBB system cannot guarantee people from go out of homes for maybe have a job or works or sell to have money, income, etc. As we can see in the news, in the televisions, although PSBB is being implemented, there are still people gathering around. Some in some cities, some youngster or teenager even hang out together in the public places, in the center of the city, in mall, etc. So PSBB is not working here. Next argument is that PSBB does not work because it does not protect most fragile or the marginalized elements of society, such as homeless, unemployed, or the informal workers who suffer from these virus outbreaks. And then the PSBB does not work because it does not block people from going out to kampung. Okay, as we have seen in the news that lots of people are already going out to kampungs, to mudiks or pulang kampung, whatever term is, although it is still disputable what is mudik, what is pulang kampungs, as you know in the news. Okay, the last is adding the evidence for each of the line of reasonings from the arguments there. For example, for the arguments that PSBB does not work because it does not keep people home quarantine, stay at home, is that in PSBB some people are still going out as their company. Yes, you have to give the evidence, the statistics, the data. For example, that 16% of the company didn't obey the work from home policy. Yeah, it's already happened in Jakarta. Yeah, that there are still some company that did not obey the policy. Yeah, the policy of working from home. Even the mall, yeah, still opens. Yeah, and we know in the news that some of the entrepreneurs, even they protest and protest the governor, in this case Bapak Anies Baswedan, even put it in the court. Yeah, in the court. But fortunately the government wins and the entrepreneur here has, or the businessman here has to obey the work from home policy. Okay, and then the evidence from the second argument, for example, that we can say that in the roads still many people who are unable to pay their rented house, they have to stay on the road, even they sleep on the road because they don't have a place to sleep. Okay, and then also that some Gojek still find their for taking peoples, okay, etc. And then not all poor people or the needs, yeah, supported by the governments, because the governments are in mess in their data. They don't have a valid data. Okay, you can prove from the evidence in the news, according to Detik or according to Merdeka.com or according to Kompas, there are still how many percent of the needs people, or how many percent the aids going to the wrong peoples, etc. And the third argument, you can support it by, for example, the fact, the evidence that almost 35,000 peoples, or many people from Jakarta go home to Central Java, their kampung, Wonogiri, Solo, Klaten, yeah, because they don't have job, they don't have financial, or they don't have incomes. They were fired, etc. Okay, so PSBB cannot block these peoples to go out of the city and spread the coronavirus in other places. Okay, that is the examples of case building in propositions of fact. Okay, so that's all. After this, you will do the exercise to make a case building, yeah, with the motions that the educational system prepare student for the world of works. Okay, this house believes that the educational system prepares students for world of work. Okay, this is the motion. Or the second motion, you may choose. Okay, you may choose the first motion or the second motion. This house believes that COVID-19 is China's biological weapons. Okay, you may choose from those two propositions to make the case building. You do it in the Google Forms in the link below. That's all for today. Thank you very much. If you have questions, you can type it in the comments. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.